Disclaimer. The content presented in this show is intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of any individuals or organizations mentioned. Statements made about public figures or entities are based on publicly available information and are not intended to harm or defame any person or business. This show relies on fair use of social media posts, which are presented in good faith for the purpose of commentary and criticism. Viewers and listeners are advised to form their own opinions. Circle back right here on the Circles Off channel. It's part of the Hammer Betting Network and presented by Underdog. This is the show where we cover the latest and greatest from gambling Twitter. And there's going to be no Tuesday show as a reminder next week. So it's us today and it's us again next week, but maybe in a slightly different capacity because we do have a special guest, we'll say, joining us here today. I'm your host, Jacob. We have Jeff Nadu in the top right corner. We have Flup, Chris Dierkes in the bottom left, and replacing Joey Knish for today's episode, ducking out of this one, we have Jason Cooper, takes by Jay. Jason, you said it yourself. Good replacement for Knish because he's wrong a lot, and so are you. So
yeah, exactly. And also emphasis on the word special, special replacement. I'll take that. One last thing though, Joey Knish missing this for a date. I saw that on Twitter. What are we doing here? I thought he was a company man. I guess that's
really?
Now. Yeah,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he tweeted that. He's like,
I wouldn't
got a
even
date.
do that.
Yeah, like just schedule it a little bit later, dude. Like you can go at 8. You don't have to.
Doesn't
go at
he live
7:30.
in like Central Time Zone too?
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
What, you going to
Eastern
happy
time.
hour?
He must be very desperate.
Yeah, maybe after the Cavs loss, he needs to go to happy hour. No, I don't even know if he bet on the Cavs. Sorry, Chris.
Well, there was somebody on the Cavs here. How did that go?
Yeah. Not great. Obviously, was pretty wrong about that. I'll accept my L. I did double down. I thought it was a good bet again, but I was proven wrong. Only position left really is just the Thunder. We need the Thunder to win the finals.
Well, they're definitely the favorites at this point. They've been favorites for a while now, so we'll see if they can go all the way. But there wasn't just that causing a stir in the NBA this week. We had the NBA draft lottery. The lottery balls determined the top 4 picks of the NBA draft, the draft order, and the Dallas Mavericks ended up with the first overall pick. The Philadelphia 76ers ended up with the 3rd overall pick. So 2 teams who maybe didn't really need a ton of help, but they got a lot of help, and fans are wondering if it is rigged. That was the big conversation of the week. Joey Knish, who isn't here, but at least we have one of his tweets to have him here in spirit, says, I'm the last guy on earth for conspiracies or fake/rigged nonsense, but the NBA lottery has really had an incredible amount of this sure seems to fit the script moments over the years, this year notwithstanding. We'll give our guest Jason the first word on this one. How do you feel about the draft lottery is rigged crowd?
I don't know if I hate saying that sports are rigged or even just alluding to that in general, because like you have so many crazies who run off with that kind of statement. But like it really seems like over the past couple of years, a lot of coincidences and like maybe the right teams getting the right players has happened in the NBA in particular. I also just feel bad with the lottery process in general and these teams, these fan bases, like having to endure like some horrendous seasons and just not be rewarded with even a top 3 pick. Like that's brutal from a fan perspective. I think it takes a lot out of it. NBA lottery being rigged, I don't know. It's so hard to say. I'm a believer in the frozen envelope, but this past one with the balls shooting out, how could you even rig that? Like, is there a weighted ball? What would be the process of them rigging it?
It's a good question. I think it's borderline impossible to rig. Some people have said, what if some of the ping pong balls are lighter? Like it's still, even at that point, you're barely increasing percentages because it's a random order. It just spits out numbers 1 through 14, and then the certain combination of numbers equates to a team getting whichever pick. So I think it's pretty foolproof. The NBA is rigged crowd just completely, utterly infuriates me, especially for something like this. Like, this is so very obviously not rigged, and people say, wow, what a small percentage chance there was for Dallas to get the first pick, San Antonio to get the third pick, Philadelphia get San Antonio get the second pick, and Philadelphia get the third pick. Like, what are the chances? Like, yeah, like, no matter what the order was going to be, it would have been a microscopic probability. In fact, it would have been a fractional probability for the top 4 to stay exactly the same. Anything about the lottery is unlikely. And at the end of the day, it literally is a lottery. It is called a lottery. And we know the percentage chance of each individual team getting the first overall pick before the event happens, and we know it's an above 0% chance for every team involved. So things can happen. And as far as like a lot of coincidences happen, like, as humans, we look for coincidences. Like, they happen. It's just part of the process. But we'll go into a little bit further on how fair the lottery is. But Flup, your thoughts on the NBA is rigged crowd for something like this?
Yeah, I agree with you completely, Jacob. I don't see how this is rigged. Are you telling me that 29 billionaires were okay with another billionaire fucking them over? I mean, like, it's
hey, but they all split the TV revenue, right?
I mean, these guys, they buy teams for their own ego. You think they're going to let another owner get a much bigger piece of the pie? I mean, getting Cooper Flagg is a massive boost to the franchise value. If I owned a team, I would want that. I wouldn't want it like for the ratings to go up. That wouldn't really help me much. I'm not going to let them rig it. And obviously, if you own an NBA team, you're an extremely powerful and connected individual. I don't see how you're going to let yourself get rigged. I mean, it just – people like all these conspiracies that billionaires run the world, but for some reason, 29 billionaires let one other billionaire fuck them. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Also, this is a norm with anything that happens. Anytime a big event goes on, there's always a conspiracy, right? That's just the world we live in now. It's conspiracy theory. It's – I'm going to make a video and it's going to be insane, but it'll get views. So, and we see it a lot in this genre. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's just a norm. Remember when that bridge got knocked down? There were soon as away there was, it's conspiracies. There's actually a guy on Reddit too, that took like a ton of time to do all the different combinations and stuff. And he ventured to believe that it wasn't rigged. I also will go with Flup, whatever he says. He's a smart guy. Flup, aren't you like a rocket scientist or something?
No, I'm currently unemployed right now. I'm
a Cavs better.
Pro gambler.
Oh, pro, that's a loose term after the Cavaliers.
Exactly, a very loose term.
But seriously, is anything not a conspiracy? Like, it's
I just people like people don't have control over the lottery. Of course, like a fan does not have control over the lottery, and they hate that. They hate that they don't have any control. So they want to give a specific reason why there's no control. They is it a comfort thing? Like, they feel better about themselves knowing, like, well, there's nothing anybody could do. Of course, the NBA made Dallas trade Luka Doncic to the Lakers to boost TV ratings, and to compensate for that, such a bad trade, to compensate for that, they rewarded them with the first overall pick.
But shout out to Dallas Maverick fans, right? Because
the fans, they got kind of
screwed.
The front office, I'm so mad about this.
I agree with you, Jacob. Like, I know what you're saying, Jeff, where it's like, yeah, like, good for the fans, but like, man, the front office made so many, like, you made a horrible decision, like a horrible process decision, and you somehow get rewarded for that. Like, that should be the bigger story of this. Not that the lottery is rigged. It's that this guy, Nico Harrison, made a terrible decision, and somehow the universe came around and rewarded him for it. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, so on that topic here, Adam Shane says, I'll keep screaming it. The NBA needs to get rid of the draft lottery. It's terrible, random, unfair. Worst record should get top pick. If Sixers or Mavs, this is before the lottery, if Sixers or Mavs get the top pick and rewarded for stupidity, I'm going to be sick and livid, as were many fans. Go ahead.
He's right there. I mean, it should be that the worst team gets the selection.
So the inherent problem is that, like, you have the Utah Jazz, who shamelessly tanked the entire season, decreased the value of the NBA product. How many more teams would have taken such an egregious approach to the season if the lottery was not random and if the prize was somebody like Cooper Flagg? That's the issue. So it's hard to find the balance of fair to bad teams while also not rewarding tanking too much. What do you think, Flup?
Yeah, I agree completely with you, Jacob. So, Jeff, I would agree in the NFL. And the reason the NFL is typically the difference between the number one and the number two pick is not nearly as valuable as the difference in the NBA. I mean, how many generational prospects have come to the NBA? 2 years ago with Wemby, I mean, if I knew I got the worst pick and I get rewarded with Wemby, I would unleash just like the most egregious tanking that you've ever seen. I would have cut every single player, would have be running up like I'd be getting, the Brett Feinstein's of the world would be signed on my team, and I'd have them running because I just want to make sure that
would you let me shoot? Did you ever see me?
Absolutely. Like I need to make sure that I need to make sure that I go 0-82. So you can't have that. Where it's like in NFL, even if we look at like how good these prospects are, like Cam Ward, Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, these are like good prospects, but there hasn't been a prospect in the NFL that you feel like if you get it, they're going to just change your franchise over. I mean, Mahomes wasn't a number one pick, et cetera, et cetera. How many top guys are number one picks? But if you look at the NBA, almost all the true elites of all time were number one picks.
Much more individual sport, the NBA.
Yes, exactly.
One guy can seriously win you a championship almost. Like it's not quite that black and white, but one guy can significantly alter your championship probabilities, which in the NFL you can't really say as much. The NBA will probably look at this lottery and think, okay, is what we're doing right? I'm sure there will be a conversation, but ultimately, like, this has decentivized tanking to a degree, and the point of tanking for teams who do take that pathway, it just raises your floor for the draft. So the Jazz came last, the lowest they could fall is 5th. That's where they ended up. So the factor that the worst team in the league, they got the 5th pick. Now, the problem is, like, again, these teams that actually need help, like the teams like Washington, Charlotte, like the Jazz to a degree, these teams need help but aren't able to get the same level of help. But it's just part of it. Like, you can't have a perfect lottery system. I'm not sure if this is the best version of it, but like, there's no way for this to be perfect.
I think the NBA should maybe just take a look, and I can't believe I'm saying this because the NHL does so many things wrong, but like at least the NHL lottery system is not as detrimental to the top end teams. If you get first, the furthest you can be back is 3rd, right? You can only move back 3 spots, and that's the most. Whereas I feel like moving back 5 spots is very punishing, like Flup said, in a sport where it's like one player can really dominate and carry things. So I maybe like a slight adjustment in that might help out.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Somebody also said to me, like, only the bottom 6 or 7 teams could end up with the first pick. That kind of still promotes tanking because you want to finish in that spot. But yeah, maybe like less penalty. Anybody can still get the top pick, but less penalty for the worst teams. I think that's a different way to look about it, a good way to look about it. Anybody that is listening, watching, let us know what you think, if changes should be made to the lottery. Let us know as well if you think the lottery is rigged. Jason, I'm not going to let this one go. Earlier you said you believe in the frozen envelope. So I actually watched this footage back yesterday because people were talking about it again. So the frozen envelope theory is from the 1985 NBA draft. I think it's 1985, the Patrick Ewing draft. So the NBA had this very large, like 3-foot diameter hamster ball almost, and they threw in a bunch of envelopes, large envelopes, like maybe 12 by 12 envelopes into this thing and spun it around. And then Stern just reached in, he grabbed the set, he flipped it, and then grabbed an envelope, and that was a New York Knicks envelope, which landed the first overall pick in Patrick Ewing. Watching it back, I don't really see how that could have been rigged. Do you actually think that one was rigged?
I don't know if it was rigged, but I listen, I'm a big fan of conspiracy theories. Not ones that are out there, but like that's one that like could be believable, right? Because the whole point of a conspiracy theory is that it's probably not true, but there could be a possibility that it might have happened, and I think we fall into that.
For a lot of people, conspiracy theories are true. That's why they exist. It's not just a fun thing to think about. Like, people actually believe. Like, I wonder what the actual percentage is. It's got to be above 20% who think that this lottery was rigged for the Dallas Mavericks. Like, I don't know if it's just a very loud, very minority group of people, but it really aggravates me. I've thankfully gotten all my anger out on this topic before recording the show today, or else it'd been worse.
Jacob, what do you mean? Like, at least that one's like believable. Every conspiracy theorist believes theirs is believable. So
I think what I meant is I could easily, like, it's conceivable that one of the envelopes was colder than the others, and Stern reached in, and out of like the 3 he touched, he was lucky that it was one of those. At least it's conceivable that could have been, like, there's a shorter pathway to that being rigged than the 2025 lottery with a ping pong ball machine and so many people watching it happen behind the scenes. And I mean, there's people that say, like, why not just do it in front of the cameras? And that way we know it's not rigged. Because if they did in front of the cameras, people would still be mad and would still say it's rigged. So I'm just saying, the pathway to Ewing's lottery getting rigged and Flag's lottery getting rigged, the Ewing lottery rig is way short of a pathway to get to that destination. That's what I meant. I don't think the NBA is rigged, but you guys let us know. Before we move on to our next topic, a word from our presenting sponsor, Underdog. All right, quick heads up. As round 2 of the NBA playoffs wraps up, the extender is coming back to Underdog for round 3. If you haven't used it yet, here's how it works. You start a playoff series by making an entry in Game 1, and you get a boost. Then, if you stick with the same series for Game 2, the boost gets bigger. Game 3, bigger again. And if it goes all the way to Game 7, that's where you unlock the max boost. So it literally pays you to follow a series from start to finish. And if you're watching every game anyway, there's no better place to do it than on Underdog. Super easy platform to use, clean interface, and just a great product if you like building lineups and sweating out picks across a series. So be ready when round 3 tips off. Hit the link in the description and sign up with promo code CIRCLES to get $1,000 in bonus credit as a new customer. Again, that is promo code CIRCLES. The extender is back for round 3 and you are not going to want to miss it. Next topic, the NFL schedule has been released and some lines are opening up, so people are getting in some bets early. One of the people getting in an early bet is an old friend of the channel, Simon Hunter, locking in Dallas +7 against Philadelphia to start the season, saying a gift from the books to start the season. Mike Vivian, who has featured many times on this, Nadu, you're a big Mike Viv fan, right? Says gotta lock this in 4 months early, but Simon Hunter wasn't the only one who wanted to get some bets in early. We also have GRP Wins, who is locking in not some bets, but showing off of his spreads, what he makes the game, every game for week 1 of the NFL schedule. And something that was noted in the replies here is that GRP, you're selling picks, but you're giving out all of your bets for the upcoming.
I was just going to say that.
For week 1. GRP had this to say, no, these are not going to be my picks. And somebody said, well, if these are your lines and the market is off of these lines, then that is going to be your bet. And GRP said, I respect the market, so I will adjust based on what the market says. I'm paraphrasing, but it was something along those lines. Flip, how do you feel about people getting in super early on NFL sides, maybe totals? How do you feel about that at this point? Was the season 4 months away?
You got to get value where you can get it, but I was just checked now. The Cowboys line hasn't moved, so I'm like a little curious as to like if the bet was truly this good. Like I was expected to move. I mean, I can recall last year, yes, I recall the year prior and in the last 2 years, there's a few games that moved like 2 points upon release within like the day or two. So I have no problem if you're going to bet it early, but get something that's actually going to move early. If I see this in like another month or two and it's still there, like you just locked up your funds for no reason. Like you have to have high confidence it's going to move up, and also for the future. Yeah.
Also, I mean, maybe I'm just making a bad line here, but I made it 7.5. I would only figure it would go up, not go down. I don't really know why he would take it at 7 personally. I feel like you'd get a better line waiting, but yeah, I also didn't understand the GRP stuff either. I mean, isn't he selling? How much he's selling for?
100 a pick.
100 a pick.
Yeah, 100 a pick. Like that's. Yeah, I got a feeling that's never going to actually happen. I got some weird feeling that's never going to actually happen.
You don't think people are willing to go to Walmart to like send their $100 through Walmart for five extra bucks to get one pick? You don't think that's not a profitable way?
But like even if he gets like 5 people to do it, that's $500 he didn't have. Like that's buying a lot of diner food. You know what I'm saying? True. Like it's a little bit of effort from him, and it's a decent payday for him as well. So. I think he should go through with it because I think Jeff kind of pointed out on Jeff Feinberg, on one of the Tuesday shows, said it's almost like a charity. It's like, all right, we enjoy your content, so like we'll throw you some money to support you and because we like you type of thing.
But like also in terms of betting early, the way Simon Hunter's doing it, I mean. They literally haven't even went through OTAs yet, have they? Like, what are we doing here? Like,
they're in the middle of rookie camp right now. It's so early in the process.
Jeff, that shouldn't matter. Like, if you think the bet is good, OTAs can move it, but it can move it in both ways. Like,
Sure.
What I mean is, like, if I made a bet and I think it's gonna move, and then a player gets injured, like say Prescott gets injured in OTAs, it doesn't matter. This +7 was potentially a good bet because you have to factor in injury. You can assume there's injury risk on both sides. And additionally, I would also say who's more likely to be suffering from injury risk and OTAs moving? Probably the Eagles, because the Eagles have a way better roster than the Cowboys. So
but Flo, let me ask you: Do you really actually think that line's going to go down to 6.5? It's only going to go up.
I haven't looked at it enough. My instinct was actually, I agree with you. I thought it was going to go up.
Yeah.
That being said, I have not done I've done basically no NFL work, so I don't want to give a public prediction.
Remember,
out there.
we're dealing with a 6-win team against a team that won the Super Bowl. They're at home. I mean, it's just rudimentary, but I would think it would go up. But betting it now seems obtuse to me.
I agree. And on top of that, like these markets are very like illiquid right now, probably pretty soft. And you'd think that like Mr. Simon Hunter, big better over here, you'd think he'd make a big enough bet to maybe potentially even like move a line.
That's
right?
actually like a pretty good point for Simon Hunter, not only to bet it at
not be
the
able to move
numbers
the line?
he would claim to be betting it at, and then to share it with people. Like it's got, I don't even know what site this is, but at least 41 people have acknowledged
it's a tracking service. I don't know
positively. You're right though. If Simon Hunter is who he says he is, this would not be 7 anymore in a market not taking a lot of liquidity.
Can you go back to that real quick?
Yeah.
Notice the little note, a gift from the books to start the season. Like, is it?
Is it really?
Look, it might move, but if it was a gift, as Flup said, it probably would have already moved. And if Simon Hunter is who he says he is, Jason, you're right. This would have definitely moved by now.
Anecdotally speaking, I did this 2 years ago, and like obviously I was a much smaller bettor back then. But like I had this sitting in my account for 4 months, and it's like every time I saw it, I was on tilt because when the game actually happened, I ended up being able to build my bankroll where I would be betting way more than I would have bet like what I bet on this actual amount right now. What are your guys' takes on like betting, like I guess opening lines 4 months out at -110? Like if you really think it's a good number, are you even like going to bet it? Like Flop it for you, like you're obviously a big bettor. If you think it's that good of a number, will you really bet it? Like are you willing to tie up your bankroll for that long, or like?
It depends how good the bet is and how liquid I am. If I can get it on like on a credit site or something like that, absolutely, I have no issue with that because I'm not tying my capital up. Mm-hmm. But if I have to bet it on like a book that I need to tie up capital, I got to do the calculation. Am I going to use the capital later? I might. And if I'm using the capital later, I'm probably not, unless the bet is like tremendously high ROI, which an NFL spread is not going to be that high even 4 months out. I mean, maybe 15% ROI if you're lucky.
Agreed.
We'll move on to our next topic here. Comes from @PirateEV, claiming that Pinnacle is not sharp. I don't know who needs to hear this, but Pinnacle is not sharp. That is what they said. First of all, I would love to see, well, if anybody doesn't know, Pinnacle, very widely recognized sharp sportsbook. Maybe not in every single market, but very widely recognized as a very sharp sportsbook. I would love to see Pirate EV giving out Pinnacle plays and showing profitability over a long sample size, because many have tried, some have succeeded, but some have also failed. Flup, as a bettor yourself, how do you feel about this criticism? Maybe not criticism, but this conversation around Pinnacle.
Well, it's pretty clear what's going on here. He's devigging to Pinnacle and is upset that he's on a bit of a downswing, and he's just raging on Twitter by tweeting. Right. And that's clearly what's going on here. Now, so many things he could be doing wrong here. One, not understanding basic variance. Two, devigging to Pinnacle on a line that they're actually not sharp at, as in a liquid market. If he's devigging to, say, player props or some like random like esport event that they have like $200 limits on, yes, they're probably actually not sharp, and you actually could beat them. It wouldn't be that hard to beat them, actually. So just say that as a blanket statement is kind of ridiculous when they offer 5-cent lines on NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, and to have huge limits. I mean, they can offer, you can get to win $100K a click on NFL, and they are profitable as a company. That's an insanely sharp sportsbook overall. So they're clearly not sharp overall. So he's doing something wrong. I don't know if he's calculating the variance wrong or deviating in a stupid way, but he's doing one of those two things, and he looks like an idiot tweeting this out.
So this was brought up by Jeff Benson of Circa, and one of the things that Pirate EV said, because just Benson respects Pinnacle, respects him as a sharp sportsbook. So Pirate EV questioned, could I then devig like with against Pinnacle with Circa odds and therefore become a winning bettor by doing that? How do you feel about that statement, Flip?
Again, like these top-down, this pains me because I'm a top-down bettor myself. You got to have understanding of the market. I forget the exact Spanky quote, but it was something along the lines of like a bet without a limit is not a homer, something along those lines. He'll probably know it if he hears this. But the point is, you need to understand how liquid the market is at which point you're betting it. When Pinnacle's opens, say NBA, they're probably not that sharp. When they're an hour before tip, they're insanely sharp. When they have player props or regular things, they're not that sharp if they have the low limit. Circa is going to operate in the same way. Circa takes the biggest limits on NFL, and in my opinion, they're probably the sharpest book on NFL and college football. But do I think Circa's WNBA is that sharp? No, I don't. And I think lots of people could beat Circa. And so using the source of truth that they have as a blanket statement for one book is almost always a mistake. You need to use a market approach. You need to factor in how liquid the market is and at what point. Because you can't just say, oh, this market's always good to devig to, because at certain times it might not be good.
Yeah, Jason, for sure. You beaten Pinnacle this season? What do you think?
Honestly, like I'm not going to answer that question, but yeah, like I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, Chris, with just talking about the timing matters, right? Because like if you're trying to like devig a player prop that they only take $200 on, like the limit's like $200, like obviously, yeah, that line's not going to be sharp. Like you can find if you're looking for a source of truth, you can look somewhere else to find that. But I guess I have a question for like the American folks here, like. Can you guys see the limits on Pinnacle? Because I know you have to be logged in to see the limits. Like, are you guys able to see that? I'm in Canada, so I can bet there. But I don't know. I don't know if you guys can't. Like, is that a thing or?
I think Spanky's site, SpankOdds, shows it. So there's ways to do it.
There's ways around it. Yeah. Okay. I thought so. Yeah. No, because I thought maybe this guy just had no idea how to see the limits on it, and he's just wrong. But I am looking through this thread, and he said that. He said something that's very interesting because he said if you're using Pinnacle as your source of truth to try and beat FanDuel, I don't think there's much room for long-term winning there. And I guess, again, it depends on what you're betting on. But
I mean, player props versus side tilts completely changes the conversation when you bring in FanDuel.
Exactly. It's an interesting take for him. He's obviously he's an odds jam guy, just scrolling through his Twitter. So, I don't know. I feel like
I hadn't considered, but Flip is probably right. He's probably devigging against Pinnacle and just hit a big downswing, and now he's mad. That probably is it.
Look, I can speak to personal experience. A lot of my success has been because of Pinnacle. I've devigged to them many times, many bets, and I've gone on big downswings, like 20, 30 unit downswings where I've lost lots of money. But guess what? It worked out in the end. So it's tough to know if it's just variance of your process, but that's something you have to evaluate on your own.
Let's move to the other end of the sportsbook spectrum. We had the sharp side for Pinnacle. We have a more recreational book now in BetMGM. We have a bettor here, Mike Eisenberg. The Eisentower 30v2 is the handle on Twitter, saying Donovan Mitchell scored 40-plus points twice, and BetMGM settled my futures bet as a loss. Considering I'm the nice version of a customer getting screwed, I'd hate to see the quote-unquote Cameron meet a real gambler. Try teaching some professionalism at BetMGM Care. It's a ticket that says lost on Donovan Mitchell scored 40-plus points in any game this series, the Cavaliers-Pacers series. Obviously, you should be credited as a winner. Bet $7.50 at plus 210 odds here. And got in live chat with a support staff and got a little bit rude. Opened up with Cameron, who the bettor was referencing from the tweet, said, a wager was incorrectly marked as a loss. And then said, I understand you would like a resolution to this as soon as possible, but I must ask for patience as I escalate this matter to the relevant team. They'll review the situation and reach a resolution soon. After they have concluded the review, you'll receive a follow-up via email from us within 24 to 72 hours. We greatly appreciate your understanding. And we have Mike here, very upset with this response. This is ridiculous. It is very clearly, obviously, an error. Donovan Mitchell scored 40-plus points twice in all caps. How is this a 24 to 72 hour correction? And then Cameron said, I understand this, but I cannot just change it to a win. I don't have that power, but go off. I already escalated it to the team that will fix it, but continue to be rude, please. All right. We'll start with you, Nadu. How do you feel about the customer service here? Do you support the attitude being shown here, or do you think customer service has to always keep it professional?
No, I'm actually quite happy to see this. I always thought it was just these generic responses and they were like robots. I didn't know there were actually people doing this. I love Cameron. Shout out to Cameron for that. I love that. Telling this fucking $7.50 better to kick rocks and wait.
It's like $21 they went back. Not to unit shame, but it's not like you can go 24 to 72 hours without that $21.
That's what I mean, again, I don't understand it's not like that kid has anything to do with it. All he could do is upload it to somebody else and they'll try to reaffirm it. I don't understand why he would be rude to him. Again, I don't know their policy. I guess that's against their customer service policy, but I think it's very funny. I didn't see this until, we recorded, but yeah, Cameron, we got to get him on this show. Does anyone know who he is?
Their name may not even be Cameron.
but like in a world where and I'll just be honest, a lot of the time when you call a company, it's super hard to get to a person. I don't know. I kind of respect it.
I've had, from my experience with BetMGM support, I've had a wager incorrectly graded and it was fixed relatively quickly, but that was also the Super Bowl, so they were probably much more alert at that time. But yeah, for something like this, if you're going to be rude, what else do you want the customer service representative to do? Do you actually think a customer service rep can change a bet grade from a loss to a win? Do you think they'd have that power?
The butt go off was great. That's fucking hilarious.
We should start to normalize, if you're going to actually give that sort of attitude, because I worked in I will call it customer service. I worked at a retail store. I worked at an Adidas store, and we had rude customers all the time. I guess once I got comfortable in my position there, it's there's a couple tricks you could do. Number one, if somebody says something blatantly rude to you, good thing to do is ask them to repeat it, because this is more verbal, because then they have to think about it, and then do they really want to actually say that again? But eventually you just get to a point where it's just we'll be fine without you being here. We'll be fine without you paying for something here. We'll be fine. So I'd like to normalize this a little bit more. Mike came on way too strong, and he should be the one who looks like the asshole in this situation. What do you think, Philip?
Yeah, I actually disagree here, because I've had this similar experience with BetMGM where they were clearly in the wrong on something. I don't want to say the exact incident, but it took 3 days, and I'm talking to customer support, and every time I get the same answer, which is, I've elevated this to someone higher. And I don't want to hear that. I want the fucking resolution. And
what do you want them to do? What do you want Cameron to do?
Cameron can't handle it.
To be fair, I see your guys' point that they shouldn't attack Cameron, but BetMGM as a company is really shitty for not making their customer support able to handle this. Look, you guys can make fun of the guy for the $750 wager. Yes, it's a nominal amount of money, but is he right? Absolutely, he's right. Should he have this money? Absolutely.
Well, it's not that he's wrong. It's his attitude in going about it.
Okay, wait, I'm sorry. I got to cut all you guys off. What did he say that was so bad? He said it's a very clear and obvious error. Donovan Mitchell scored 40-plus points twice. How is this a 24 to 72 hour?
He's saying this is ridiculous.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. They marked the wager incorrectly. You should mark it correctly. It's literally he
doesn't have he can't do that.
For sure.
What is the customer service representative? They're literally following protocol here. They said they're going to escalate this. It takes 24 to 72 hours.
He's allowed to be frustrated with how poor the MGM process is.
You're allowed to be frustrated, but you don't take that out on the person who is actively trying to help you.
I don't think saying this is ridiculous is taking it out on the person, because honestly, I've used that a ton in the support game, because frankly it is ridiculous. There's a certain company, I'm not going to mention them, but if you're not active on responding within 2 minutes, they'll automatically cancel the chat. But the problem is that they tell you to wait a couple more minutes, So if I put my phone down and I'm not sitting beside it every 2 minutes saying I'm still here,
That's
ridiculous.
Different, because the customer service representative has the power to either stay on the call with you or leave stay on the chat or leave the chat. That is something
Jacob,
in their control. This is not, though.
And remember, he made it very clear. I've already elevated it to the team that's going to do this and fix it. There's nothing more I can do for you. It's not my policy. Do you really think Cameron, if he couldn't, and he had the policy to change the $7.50 wager, he wouldn't do it? So he doesn't have to hear this boomer, all for this boomer to take the $7.50 and put it on some 5-team parlay. It's like, enough.
Yeah. I think. Go ahead.
I hear your guys' points where like he shouldn't be rude to this customer support, but it's just frustrating dealing with them, and you want to get your rage out on someone. And unfortunately, Cameron is right there, and he represents the people that you're so mad at.
You want to get it out, but you got to learn not to. That's. Go ahead.
Yeah. To be fair, that's like kind of part of their job. If we're being like, listen, I don't think he went like. I'm not saying be an asshole to these people, but I think saying that this is ridiculous, I think that's a fine thing to say. I don't think he went overboard. I think the bigger problem here is how poorly the support system is with all these companies, because they have no incentive to make it better. And I actually was happy seeing this on the sheet before coming in, because usually I'm with the other crew and Kirk and Rob. They're the biggest defenders of sportsbooks here. I was expecting you guys to come on and rip into them, and now we got more of you defenders here. I'm shocked.
I'm not defending the sportsbook. I'm defending the individual who's getting paid minimum wage to eat shit from customers all day, every day. I'm not defending BetMGM here.
Fair.
Well, I believe
24 to 32 hours is a lot, but the customer service can't do anything about it.
Well, I believe Rob did work for a sportsbook or consult. I might have heard that once or
I don't know. He may have mentioned it.
And that's why he's so soft on them, I think.
Yeah,
Also, as someone who has detailed their run-ins with DoorDash drivers and Grubhub drivers, those are the customer service that I'm more inclined to have issues with, because they directly are responsible for the order. Okay. Cameron at MGM, he just logs in with his headset on and takes calls or takes, internet queries, which he has no power to. Maybe give them a little bit more power. Could we do that? Maybe up to like $100.
Yes, exactly. Like, that's what I understand.
Like, why not have like a little, like, up to $100 you can refund? Like,
or maybe give out like a 30% profit boost for like our displeasure, something along those lines.
Yes, if BetMGM allowed that, and it was like, and they said you can give an X number a day, and it's a reasonable request, then this wouldn't be too big an issue, because I think most bettors that are betting $20 are the ones that have the most problems, and they would be easily bought for a few dollars to not complain so much.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, though, and say that a lot of the people who are in the support are probably not small bettors. I think majority of them are larger bettors, is my guess.
Oh, I would guess the opposite.
You think so?
The opposite, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, let us know in the comments if you think if you're on the side of Cameron or if you're on the side of Mike, the bettor in this situation. Would love to hear the responses there. Next topic here, we have an article that was shared by Frank Luntz on Twitter. It was in regards to online sports betting, and the title is "Online Sports Betting is Draining Household Savings." And Frank says, U.S. households spend an average of $1,100 a year on sports betting. For every dollar spent on bets, Americans put $2 fewer into investment accounts. States that legalize online sports betting saw a 28% increase in bankruptcy filings within 4 years. But Frank got community noted, I will add. It says the study does not say that households spend an average of $1,100 on sports betting. It says 8% of households spend money on sports betting, and those households average $1,100. That means the average household spent $88 on sports betting. So good community note, but still kind of brings up some fair points about if sports betting legalization has helped or hindered things. What do you think? What's your perspective on that, Flup? People, because clearly, like, you're a bettor who's making a lot of money, but in order to make that money, you need people who are losing money. So how do you feel about this?
Yeah, this is just the unfortunate reality of gambling, that it's a zero-sum or negative-sum game, and others have to lose for those profitable to win. I can speak from experience, like playing poker. It was a little bit more depressing because a lot of times I would be taking people's welfare checks, and it's a little depressing when you see it right in front of you. So another reason I like sports is I don't have to think about it this much. This makes me very sad. I wish people would have more responsible gambling. I've had family members' lives ruined over irresponsible gambling. So I wish this didn't happen, but I know the industry I'm in, and I know it's got to happen for me to earn. So it is what it is.
Were you guys shocked with this number being like 1,100? Like 8% of households are averaging 1,100. Do you think that's like too high or too low? I felt like, because I'm just thinking about like the people on the high end of the spectrum are obviously like elevating it up a lot, but it feels like not that much. But like just considering how bad my friends are at betting and how much they bet, also in Canadian dollars though, so maybe slightly different. Were you guys like shocked at all by like the amount?
I wasn't shocked, but it's not like it's not saying it's nothing, but it's not a ridiculous amount of money either.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was quite a lot in my opinion. I was actually, I think $1,100 is a lot because we have to. I don't know what the median household income is in Canada, but in the U.S. it's only like $55,000-$60,000. Like that's after taxes and expenses. $1,100 doesn't represent that much disposable income. Like that could be in a lot of people's instances like 20% plus of their disposable yearly income. So that's quite a bit of money in my opinion. And also, like you said, to your point, it's probably getting weighted down by a lot of the smaller bettors and weighted and a lot of the bigger bettors are weighting it up, but those are the bigger bettors are the ones that's causing a problem. So if it was like $400, it wouldn't be that bad in my opinion, because that means probably not a lot of people are getting too badly hurt. But so many small bettors weigh this down. That means probably the true average of non people that are betting like, $25 parlay once a month, it might be in the thousands.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like an inverse bell curve. That makes sense of like the distribution on people.
Yeah,
for this.
I'd like to see like more like the median for this instead of like the average, because I don't know which. I would think it's also going to weighed up by pulled up by the whales who are betting like, or not the whale, but the people are betting way too much. But what are your thoughts on this, Nadu? What do you think of the legalization of sports betting? Do you think it's been a hindrance to the average person?
Well, of course. I mean, I don't know how you can't think it hasn't been. I mean, I've talked too about like some of the things that they have done that I think are good. Like obviously when you legalize something, there's a regulatory body that oversees that it's done effectively. But there are certain segments of this community as well that have not been policed whatsoever in terms of the tout market, which we've talked about. If you're a plumber, you need a license to be a plumber. If you're a, whatever trade, you need a license. And in this world, you don't need one. If you go and sell marijuana legally, you need a license to do that. I just don't get in terms of that. But I will also say, and this is just the truth about Frank Luntz. Frank Luntz is a political shill. So, I mean, he's going to say things that benefit his side. We also have to remember, like, what does sports betting do in terms of revenue for a state, right? Where does that money go? That does benefit people too, which we have to remember. But Flop, I thought, made a good point about like poker. I never really thought about it in that analogy. I remember when I first started playing poker, I was playing 2-4-6 limit, which is like one of the most geriatric based games. You have people that are 90 years old sitting there can barely see, and you're thinking like, wow, these are people spending their social security checks on this, and it is kind of depressing in a way. But yeah, there's definitely things that need to be fixed.
Nadu, I'm curious, do you think the legalization of sports betting helped or hurt or had no impact on the mob? Because I'm curious
on the mob
on that side.
Well, I don't know that. I mean, I think it definitely hurt the mob and organized crime for sure. But I mean, if you go to certain segments of where the mob's very big, whether it's North Jersey, Philadelphia, New York City, most customers still want to bet on credit. And there's still a lot of indictments coming out where you're seeing very large amounts of action being taken still. People still love the fact that they don't have to go to a sports book and drop $500 cash, right? They just can go to that credit book. And you have credit books where it's not just weekly. I have a credit book. There are credit books that I've dealt with that it's every month or two you can settle up. So, and they're giving you more credit lines. And remember, too, nowadays, this is the thing that they don't tell you about the mob. Now people can run bills up. What's the mob going to do? They're not going to come beat you up anymore. It doesn't work like that anymore. The mob doesn't have that fear factor. So I think people are definitely more interested in dealing with a credit book because there are so many, throwing the fact of the tax stuff you don't have to deal with. It hurt for sure. I would say maybe 20%, but I don't think it'll ever go away.
So that's the reason I asked that is because I imagine the customers that want to use credit are the ones that shouldn't be gambling the most because those are probably the most degenerate. So if it sounds like they didn't have that much of an impact. So if that's the case, maybe sports betting isn't that bad and people are going to lose their money anyway.
And also too, there are safeguards with legalized gambling they're not with credit books, right? I knew many people 20 years ago, way before sports betting was legal, that lost their house through credit books. I mean, they're way more predatory than any, legal sports book. At least you have to have the money. They make it a little harder, right? It's Wild West with a credit book, as we know.
I think you brought up, I think people are going to bet anyways. And you mentioned the welfare checks. I guess it's a bit different for poker because you have to be present to win that off of the person. Whereas sports betting, that person's going to lose that money whether or not you're involved. You may as well profit off it. But like I said, for sports betting, I opened up. If you're winning, it's somebody else that's losing essentially. But I feel like a lot of things in life are that way. If I'm going for the same job as somebody else, I get it and they don't. I'm taking that away from them in a way. I get the issues that come with gambling, but it does help with funding towards the states, as Nadu mentioned, where I think that was a big proponent in legalizing sports gambling, is how much extra money that can be put into the state. And it's just the unfortunate reality of it that some people don't know how to control themselves, and some people just are losing bettors and do nothing about it. But it really it isn't that hard to be a winning bettor. Also, it's not like it's this impossible task to become a winning bettor. It might be more difficult to find the tools to do that, but it isn't rocket science.
But it's also not rocket science to be a responsible bettor. If you don't have the money, you shouldn't be betting, right? I mean, it's real simple. And that's why, to me, again, there's also a thought in my head where, when I see, on TikTok or something, these OSGA people that are pushing the we need to ban sports betting or whatever the group is. I shouldn't say a group that I don't know. Is that the OSGA? The one that they do the awareness and all this stuff?
I don't know.
Again, we're dealing with grown men and women that can make decisions based on their own, abilities. So it's just I don't do heroin because I don't want to deal with the result. Yeah. Right.
If someone's unhealthy but refuses to go to the gym, should we try to help them?
Exactly.
You can go and do it, but you don't.
And again, too, sports books do give a lot of responsible gaming, and there are a lot of safeguards in place too. If you have problems, they'll even help you. They make it clear every time they have an ad read. If you need help, 1-800-GAMBLER. If you need to go to rehab.
If you don't want to talk about this, we don't have to. But when you were considerably heavier, were people bullying you for that, and did that have an effect and make you want to lose it more, or did that just make you more angry and depressed in that regard? I'm curious.
The best thing about weight loss is the way I feel compared to the way I did before in terms of just my overall arrogance, right? I'm much more inclined that, those things got to me for sure. And I'll say they didn't bother me, but I get called fat fuck a lot less now, and that was part of it because I am in the media world where people see me that, I'm on a camera. Absolutely. You definitely want to shut people up, and it's a mountain to climb, but it's also to shut people up and kind of throw it in their face now. Because anytime you say something about my weight, I just say, well, yeah, but I used to look like this. So,
the reason I asked is I don't know if speaking negatively towards people with clear problem gambling or saying you're an idiot for doing this, is it actually having the opposite effect that we're hoping.
Well,
I
there are
really
certain
thought-
well, there are certain people in this space that we've all talked to that have, probably a perceivable, problem.
Yeah.
I think, and I've realized this with just talking to people that have been addicted to things, you can tell them till they're blue in the face they have an issue until they look in the mirror. And when I looked in the mirror and said, I have a problem here, I need to do something, and only I can change it, that's when it changes. But only they can ultimately do it. So you can badger them all you want. And those people that we talked about have been badgered all weekend. But do they do anything? No. You can try to help them. You can try to talk shit to them. I don't think it really matters.
All right. Well, before we go any further, next topic, we have a word from one of our sponsors here, Edge Boost. Ever had your deposit blocked right before a big bet? Ever needed cash at 2 a.m. for another shot at the tables, but you hit your ATM limit? Listen, I've had experiences like this, so I'm sure you have had them as well. You never know when you're going to get that message about a big edge somewhere. You've got to fill your account quickly before it evaporates, and you just can't get that money in there in time. Your bank blocks your deposit. Maybe you get the deposit through, but it takes 30 minutes for that deposit to process, and all of a sudden, you can't get down on that huge edge that you wanted. Well, that situation arises no more with Edge Boost. Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors. Edge Boost gives you fast, reliable access to your funds, making it easier to move money when and where you need it, without the delays that can come with traditional banks. For you high rollers, you can move up to $250,000 a day on your Edge Boost Visa debit card with unlimited withdrawals. This works 24/7 for instant deposits. Never wait for a wire to clear again. It gets better. Every time you deposit into qualified gambling accounts, you earn cash back rewards up to 0.5%. All this for no usage fees and no minimum balance. Edge Boost is a debit account that makes it easy to get started with no credit checks, no minimum balance, and no usage fees. Simply verify your identity and you're ready to go. Finally, Edge Boost is a suite of responsible gambling tools to help you manage your bankroll and make informed decisions. What are you waiting for? Go to www.edgeboost.bet. That's www.edgeboost.bet, or just go to the link in the description and sign up to Edge Boost today. Next segment here, bringing up your comments from the previous show. We're going to start off with 17 Cali 32 says, my take on Jay Farr too nice, who we referenced on last week's show. Somebody that was complaining about all of a sudden starting to lose more on sports betting. My take on Jay Farr is that he cashed some big parlays back in the day, lost his edge, and is now living off those results while selling plays with no edge. Flup, you were strong on that topic last week. Do you disagree or agree with this comment?
He nailed this spot on. I have nothing to add. This is almost exactly right.
And I think you could also take this to another topic we had last week with Jeff Rosa. Jeff Rosa, had a great year at one point, started selling picks, and he lived off that reputation. And we just seemingly found out that he really didn't know shit or wasn't good at this, and now he's moved on. So
there was we talked about this on Tuesday as well. Somebody who just lost either lost their edge or just experienced good variance to the start, and then all of a sudden, the baseball one we talked about on Tuesday.
To be clear, I guess I'll defend Jay Farr a little bit here. I think he clearly had an edge a while ago. I don't think he has an edge anymore, but I think he is smart enough that he's much better than most other touts. I think he's still losing overall, which I think I saw that Jay Farr said that's my opinion. So.
Yeah, and I also think, I just to piggyback off that, I also think he's smart enough to potentially find another edge or maybe discover something that he's not that hasn't been found yet. So
and that's a good point. He's way more adept at probably finding an edge than Jeff Rosa, probably.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Biggest thing though, variance comes for all. Variance will come for all.
Next comment comes from Stroud Boys. Says, used to be a big fan of Spinfluencer. Spells it wrong, but anyway, Spinfluencer. But I think his act is getting old now. Jason, what do you think on that?
I like Spinfluencer. I don't know. I've DM'd him a couple times. He's a nice guy. Thought his Circles Off interview was good. I could see how his act is getting old, maybe, but maybe you just don't like the act in itself. I don't really know. I'm fine with him. Neutral on this take.
Yeah, I don't think he's any different than a lot of these guys that we talk about on kind of the sphere of trolling and the spaces and stuff. I think there are times where they're really funny and doing really well and they got funny takes. Then there are things that are kind of goofy that they do that I don't really like. I think it's all relative. You get highs and lows in this business. You just try to have a little bit more highs than lows. I think Spinfluencer probably went a little far with like some of the demand advance stuff where he got like, but I like him overall. He's always been all right to me.
Yeah, I disagree. I like the account. I think maybe it's lost, like, because when it first came out, it was very new. So I think that's what brought a lot of punch to it. But I still think Spinfluencer is doing a lot of great content. The one thing I would say against Spinfluencer is that after the account started to really get some legs, it was almost like, I don't know, like it was this sense of like they were obviously right. It wasn't like trying to prove things. It's like almost like I am right type of thing. It's not like asking, what do you guys think about this? I don't know if I explained that correctly.
It also didn't help the fact that he belittled people for not having jobs, then lost his job. And people are going to come calling. I mean, that's just the truth.
Maybe it's entitlement is what I'm thinking.
Variance came to him.
Not quite the word, but for lack of better word, entitlement. But I do like the account. What do you think, Flip?
Yeah, I like his account overall. I think his only issue is, I think you got a Jacob there. He thinks he's always right in a lot of instances, where sometimes like he attacks these shitty people, but these shitty people are occasionally right, and he picks the time where the shitty person is right to attack them, and it's hard. It makes him lose credibility. It's like if I have an obvious scumbag doing tons of stupid things, but I pick the one time where they might be in the right, not a good look for Spinfluencer. And he's done that a few times, and I've commented on him, and that's why I've disagreed with him.
Content is a volume game, right? So you're gonna hit, but you're also gonna miss. So part of it.
Next comment comes from CWU913. Says, this is in response. Last week we said it's very important to show slips if you're giving out picks to prove that like you're actually betting the stuff you're giving out. And this user says, if a bettor hits 75% against the spread over the last 3 NFL seasons but doesn't show slips, do you actually care? That's an absurd take. Or you actually care, asking. That's an absurd take because we cared. We think slips are important. For this, there's quite a lot of like asterisks that could be associated. Like, is this person like showing an actual documented record that can't be altered, it can't be changed? Are they going through third-party tracking, hitting 65% against the spread? In that instance, do I care? Probably not that much. They're clearly showing signs of being a winner. Also, though, like, are they betting the amounts that they're saying? That would be something to say. Because if this person is just doing top-down betting, well, now that's less impressive. Because if you're sharing those picks, 65% against the spread, not everyone's going to be getting those same numbers. Not everybody's going to be hitting at the same rate. So a lot of different variables. But what do you think, Flip?
Yeah, slightly disagree with you there, Jacob. Because if I had a room with 100,000 cappers and they all were documented, guess what? A couple of them are going to hit 65% over three seasons just because of random variance.
Right.
And if they're not betting themselves, that means they probably don't have their own personal confidence that they think that they're winning. And it shows me that it's probably more blind luck than it is actual real talent. So, and now the con argument is, well, people are less risk adverse. This is why I'm not saying you need to bet big money. You don't need to bet thousands, even hundreds of dollars. Even $50 a slip, $20 a slip is fine. But it shows that you're willing to lose your own capital on your opinion, and it gives you a much bigger amount of credibility as opposed to not betting it.
Skin in the game is so important. And also, if someone hits 65% against the spread over 3 seasons and was able to consistently hit that, and I didn't see their slips, they're just an idiot then. Why are you not betting? If you're so good, you should be betting this stuff. That would make it me even less likely to want to, if I were to ever buy picks from that person or tail that person. I think the whole slip argument is ridiculous because, again, at the end of the day, you don't believe in yourself enough to risk your own money, but you're willing to risk other people's. That's what it tells me.
That's a good point. Last comment here from Matt Zilbert _superfan says, whose mutt is that barking in the background? Very bad dog, need a cat. Also, this was... I think Zilbert actually tweeted this himself from his own Twitter account. I don't know if this is just copying that, but maybe this is Matt Zilbert.
Wait, hold on a second. is that his like burner? And he just
I don't know.
Like,
Zilbert tweeted something very similar, if not the exact same as this.
Yeah, I
so
could have
I'm not
sworn
sure.
I saw that too. So I think we've uncovered that Matt Zilbert has a Zilbert super fan like
Maybe.
burner or something.
Maybe.
Wow, that's funny. I don't disagree with him.
It's Kanish's dog. My dog sometimes makes some noises as well. Not quite as bad as Kanish, but there's also, we interrupted earlier on in the show because my dog was whining at me. So maybe you can go back and spot that. Maybe you can timestamp it and see if you found it. But
when I
Kanish
saw
dog.
Zilbert's comment saying whose mud is it, I did laugh out loud. I thought that was funny. Actually. Calling it a mud was funny.
Yeah.
Insert clip here of what happened earlier in the episode.
Yeah, I'm not. No, you gotta find it. You gotta go back and find it. We'll see if people are able to find it. That'll be the game. There's some tells to be able to find it. Let's move to our next topic here. This is a big one. So we, as a collective here, we don't really want to dive deep into the spaces, but something so good has come up that we got to do it. Because Nadu, you pointed out that Gingy Bets, this account doesn't exist anymore. Why doesn't it exist anymore? Well, this is why. Adam sent a DM to Elf saying, hey, I just booked a bet with Gingy. Can you vouch for him? Elf said, hard vouch, ? What's the bet? And then Adam says, Knicks to beat Celtics. I'm likely donating. How much? A band. Elf said, and I'm reading this exactly, oh yeah, he's good for it, I think. And then when it was time for Gingy Bets to pay up, people were criticizing, well, Gingy Bets, who, like we said, deactivated the account, but Elf came to his own defense and said, a lot of people are saying I owe the NHL Better, Adam, at the NHL Better, $10K if the Knicks win, and they're all wrong. By the way, the Knicks have not won this series as of yet. They were up 3-1. It's now 3-2. I wonder if Gingy Bets comes back if they if he ends up winning the bet.
He actually is back.
He's back.
Oh, he is back. Okay, yes. My apologies. But El says, I've never hard vouched for Gingy. This is a quote-unquote soft vouch. Based on
man.
all the info I had about him up to this point. Stuff like this is why I don't trust anyone on this app. All right. Flup, I'm sure you've been in similar situations before. Am I right?
Yes.
Have you ever vouched for somebody saying they're good for their money? If that person you vouched for stiffed the person you told they were good for it, how would you handle that situation?
So I want to say two things. First, I agree with Elf. He did not hard vouch. I do not think he would have to have paid if Gingy did scam. He said, I think. That's not a hard vouch.
He met him.
This is what a hard vouch.
He met him in person. They know each other.
Time out. The question was asked, hard vouch ? And he responded. He didn't say no, not hard vouch. Hard vouch ?
No. That's not what a hard. So this is how I hard vouch, and this is how most people have done hard vouches. When a partner of mine reaches out to me and says, "Hey, I'm working with this person. Can you hard vouch me?" I will DM the other person and I say, "I hard vouch this person for X amount, and that X depends on how well I know the person for." And it's been as much as 100,000 and as low as 20 in cases, because typically, if it's lower than that, they're not asking for a hard vouch. And if they had scammed, I would be on the hook for the 20,000 or 100,000 or whatever I did, and I would expect, if they were showing proof, that I would pay. In this instance, I think is very indicative that Elf doesn't truly understand what's going on. I don't think Elf understood what a hard vouch truly means or entails. And yes, he's met him in person, but like Nadu, how many people have you met in person that you wouldn't trust that much?
But what I'm saying is, like, at least he is one of the only people on Twitter that have actually met Gingy. They've been cool. Like, here's what I'll say. I was on when all this happened on Adam and Earl's space. Essentially, it's a little bit more than him just deleting his account, right? The Celtics lose. He goes dark. He had never said he was going to take his account down or anything. He just did it. Adam, then we were telling him, just text him. You have his number. He texted him. The thing went green, like it wasn't being sent. And he got blocked on his phone. And then a few hours later, Gingy claims that his phone was just off and he didn't get them. And the next day he came back and admitted that Adam had a reason to be possibly worried about it. But as you said, Jacob, the series isn't over. That said, it did seem a little questionable. He just disappeared. He had mentioned before he'd bet a lot on the Celtics. Who the hell knows? So I don't think Adam, he was in the right here.
Jacob, can you bring it up again? Sorry. Just because, I don't see how this isn't considered a hard vouch. Maybe I don't know what it is, but this is from Elf's perspective, right? He said the word. He said, Adam said, "Can you vouch?" Elf responds, "Hard vouch?" ? Right? Paraphrasing here, and then it gets the, "Oh yeah, he's good for it." I think if it's not, he's the one insinuating the hard vouch. He's the one who says the words "hard vouch," right? If he doesn't believe it's a hard vouch for himself, he should have said, "No, I don't give a hard vouch to it, soft vouch," or whatever he was trying to say. Am I wrong? Am I in the wrong?
I think they both made mistakes here. I think first of all, Elf should
clarify.
Actually say not hard vouch because it's way too ambiguous here. Also, Adam in this instance needs to have in writing from Elf hard vouch in order to proceed with this bet. So I think Elf, number one, should say not a hard vouch, but Adam, before proceeding with a bet, should get that confirmation off of somebody vouching for them because it's left this weird middle situation where I think both of them made a mistake. Personally, I don't feel like Elf owes money for this because I agree he didn't hard vouch, but they both handled this situation very poorly before it began.
Agreed. I'm curious to hear what the comments have to say about this. This one,
yeah.
I'm curious
If you have a thought, do you think Elf owes the money? How would you handle a situation for vouch? But yeah, I think in writing, hard vouch for this much money because then you can go back. But in that case,
I do want to add also that Adam himself said he doesn't think Elf owes. So,
yeah,
there you go.
Also, enough with these. Enough. Stop doing these. How many times have we seen their questionable people disappear? Look, if Flop does it with his partners, fine. But stop with if you don't know somebody, stop dealing with them on a big money level. That's just my opinion.
That's good.
Well, Flop says part of the risk. It's the risk that bettors take. They assume that risk.
You need to assume that risk. Like with credit books and PPHs that are soft and easy to beat, you've got to take chances on that. And dealing with when I first find a new partner, they're kind of a new person, but they sound good. I might not have a hard vouch for them. I'm willing to work with them for a small amount and take a small amount of risk and build it up to trust that way. Because guess what? If it works out, I can make lots of money, and if it doesn't, I lose a smaller amount of money. And it just like you said, it's part of the EV calculation.
Pro betting is like dating. Sometimes you just gotta get used to getting stiffed. Pause.
Are you used to it at this point, Jason?
No comment.
Well, Jason may not be an expert with dating, but he is an expert on what's coming up with Forward Progress this month, so let's hear from him quickly.
What's up, football sickos? It's your guy, Jason Cooper, here from Forward Progress, and I've got some news for you. We're not waiting until September. The NFL season starts right now. We're dropping new content every single week on the Forward Progress YouTube channel, all off season long, all the way through opening kickoff. We're talking future bets, deep dives, quarterback rankings, coach power rankings, and oh yeah, we've got some takes that are so hot, you might need a cold shower after watching. If you want to know who's going to break out, who's going to crash and burn, who's getting way too much hype, we've got it all covered for you, and we're breaking down every single division as well, NFC, AFC, East to West, with real betting insight you won't find anywhere else. If you care about the NFL, if you love future markets, or if you just want to have a laugh, make sure you subscribe to the Forward Progress YouTube channel. Forward Progress is live all off season long. Let's go.
Next segment, chopping block. The things we wanted to talk about, but maybe didn't warrant an entire segment dedicated to it. First up, we have from Cross the Odds. Odds Jammer says, at Odds Jam just handed you gold, brackets, or parentheses, platinum, because platinum's unlocked for every user. Here's why you'll want to use it before it disappears. Watch the vid. And it's one of the cringiest videos maybe ever created in the history of the internet. And it's centered around odds jamming But instead of just odds jamming pregame, odds jam live essentially was the story here. And at DMS631, thank you for the hashtag circle back, but not thank you because I had to watch this video to understand it better for this segment. Flup, what were your thoughts on watching this video here?
I mean, I got started into sports betting because of OddsJam, so I think they're a good product. Or at one point, I thought they were a good product. But this content creation they have and how they advertise now is so unbelievably cringy, and that video was so awful. It's just hard to like back them up here. Like that video was terrible. It made me want to bleach my eyes out. I mean, you can't make a cringier video.
I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about here, but I've been on I've been a consumer of YouTube for a very long time. This reminded me of like early 2010s when everyone was trying to be Casey Neistat, and I'm like, this is the exact vibe that he was going with. I don't think he executed it that well, but I got like a little nostalgic watching it.
Played out.
It's a really played out thing, but I just got a little nostalgic watching it. Also, second thing, does he need to hashtag add this? Because is this not a sponsorship, I assume?
I don't know. I mean, the amount of time
breaking Twitter terms of services, no good.
Maybe if you make it known that you're promoting the product, you don't have to mention it. Like if it's known, I don't know. But what I wanted to get at here, so part of the video, basically, he was talking about like the lower tier odds jam plans, and was saying essentially was saying how bad they were. Like he's kind of shitting on odds jam, saying like you can buy this stuff because the product that OddsJam is selling, but that's terrible in comparison to this. Is he not talking shit about OddsJam in the process of bigging up this platinum deal?
This is just a classic signs of like a pyramid scheme. Like it's like you get in for the small amount of money, but then if you buy more or a better plan, you can make even more money with OddsJam. The only difference here, I don't want to call them a pyramid scheme necessarily, is OddsJam actually does work. You will earn if you use OddsJam. The difference is they advertise it as it's just this easy, you click a few buttons and you make thousands of dollars. No, you have to be doing actually real hard work, and it's a big grind, and it's really just working another job kind of situation.
Yeah.
And a job that may not last a long time because you'll lose the
Exactly.
kids. Next one comes from good old Matt Zilbert. Says, all right, out on assignment to begin the weekend. No time for an article. Just have the over-under right here. Gives out a play. Marlins White Sox under -115. -115. Joey, J. Schmidt 139 says -110-ish as always, fraud. And Zilbert replies, -115 is -110-ish, you moron. It's a standard over-under. Not my fault. Each side isn't exactly -110 every time. And Joey replied, -115 is -110-ish. Hashtag circle back. So, all right, no, dude, you go ahead.
Well, I mean, yeah, in terms of like the $20 or $30 Matt Zilbert bets, it doesn't seem like a whole lot. But I mean, if people like Flup, it's a whole lot different. Also, like I like Zilbert. I will say I thought not to bring up the spaces, but his space appearance the other night was bizarre. I don't know what that was. Mentioning sub-doms, that was very weird.
Fruits, a lot of fruits.
Yeah, number two, enough with the out on assignment stuff. Dude, you got canned. Like, let's just admit it. Like, if you get hired back for the 6,000th time somewhere else, so be it. But stop with the out on assignment. Flup, what does 115 to 110 mean to you?
Quite literally millions of dollars. That if every bet I had was 5 cents worse, I would have lost millions of dollars last year. And if it was 5 cents better, I would have made millions of dollars more last year. So it's enormous. To say it as ish is ridiculous.
So
this year, then, eh?
I would like if he's betting sometimes -105, sometimes +100, sometimes -115, sometimes -120. Sure, like fine, man. Go ahead and say -110-ish. You know what's like a lot easier to just fucking track it at the number you bet it at, so that we don't need to have the ambiguity with this statement. But like anytime I get into like this, like wanting to argue with Zilbert here, now I just refer back to this tweet from Ferris, which says, anyone arguing with his prices is part of a fight they cannot win. When this is the definition of -110 is, there is no way to argue logically. And it's big thread between Zilbert and Ferris. Ferris B _86, sharp better, a part of Gambling Twitter, says minus 150 and above is not minus 110-ish. So Ferris says, do we know the difference in implied probability between minus 110 and minus 149? So Zilbert corrects himself. Sorry, meant above minus 140. So Ferris goes, same questions above, but with minus 110 and minus 139. The whole thread is just Zilbert dodging the answer. Most bets are minus 110, so gravitate towards being the age-old 52.3%. And then Ferris says, if you were to bet on an MLB side at minus 110 and people wanted to follow but could only bet it at minus 139, would you tell them it's about the same play? And Zilbert says, I've bet 0 MLB sides the last several years, bud. Completely avoiding the question. And Ferris says, of course. But how about under 8.5 minus 110 versus 8.5 minus 139? And Zilbert says, would never take an under 8.5 minus 139. What are you talking about? So it's kind of like let's say a guy is out on a date with a girl, and his girlfriend, who he's not on the date with, walks in and sees them and then messages later, I saw you out on a date getting steaks with that random girl. Who the hell was she? And the guy would reply, we weren't even eating steaks. What are you talking about? Like, it's just completely avoiding what is actually being brought up here.
He does that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, trying to use logic to argue with somebody who has never involved logic in any of their thoughts presently is just a complete waste of time. It's like trying to argue with somebody about the earth being flat. They haven't used logic to come to their conclusion. So what is using logic going to do when you present it to them? It's like arguing with somebody about the NBA draft lottery being rigged. They haven't used any logic. So why would they all of a sudden start listening to you? You're fighting a battle.
Also, by the way, that Marlins White Sox, it was 8. That was the total in the game?
The earlier one we showed?
The one he showed, yeah. I think it pushed, weirdly enough.
Oh, well.
Wonder if
Whatever.
I just want to jump in here and say there is someone on Twitter. I don't know how well they're tracking him, but they're tracking his average line on MLB totals. He writes it down as minus 118.82 or minus 119-ish. So that's something that Zilbert is, minus 119-ish.
Yeah, because I've never seen him get I'm sorry. If I say I've never seen him get a minus 5, what he's going to do, he is going to unpromptly mention me on Twitter. Look at this article, bud, and it'll be.
But again, remember,
a minus 105 he once took.
But he's 90% of sports bettors. If you go to a casino, most of them don't even know what 120 means. They don't even care. Like, they don't look at it because they're betting 10, 20, $25. Like, it doesn't. They don't think about it, Yeah. But again, when you're dealing with flop or a heavier bettor, I'm looking at limit juice as much as possible. He doesn't. To say that is insane, and then just keep doubling down.
But if you are giving out picks, the onus is on you in that instance to understand this. You are giving out picks with the idea that people are going to tell you. It doesn't matter if you are giving it out for free. That is the inherent problem with all this. Now, obviously, nobody is actually fucking tailing his picks, but the idea is that he's giving out these picks for people to tail.
I do think it's funny, not to keep going on him, but Spanky made a comment the other night in that competition that he's had where he has to be above even
above 50%. Yeah,
he threw in a clause that he did something in the thing, so Matt can't bet both sides to stay above, positive. Right. I thought that was funny because that was something he would do.
Yeah, for sure. And I will say I got to give credit to Zilbert for being able to dodge these questions so well because I've been trying for a month now to get him to send me forward me the email, bro.
Give up.
Just forward.
Just
click the forward. You don't have to do it to me. You can send it to someone else. Just send someone the email.
Well, I think you know why he's not forwarding.
I know why, but he's done a good job avoiding it.
Pretend it's a flat earther. Nothing you can say will ever work to convince them of anything else. So there's no fucking point of wasting your time. I just give up. Give up, Jason. All right, next one here. In response to Novig's controversy, we'll call it, that we covered on Tuesday, where they voided essentially an entire slate of MLB games due to an error on their site. They even voided bets that were placed correctly because they had to void the entire slate. Bo L. Wagner, who is a very, very large pick seller, who we would widely consider not a winning bettor and does not sell a pick service that people can win by tailing. And he said, I could buy no vig with 1 month of Discord revenue, just saying, because he was very upset that Novig would do this to their customers. And replies to his own tweet, says, a Novig badge is the scarlet letter for someone who can't monetize this space and eats their boogers, which is funny. I don't know. What's that logo he has next to his name, by the way? What?
WAP.
WAP? Is that a pick selling service?
Of course it is.
Oh, interesting. He also adds, the Novig CEO is a broke Harvard grad who offers accounts low-level breadcrumbs for clout. Anyone with high IQ and postgraduate degree warned you. So I need to start on this. So he starts off by saying, I could buy Novig app with 1 month of Discord revenue, just saying. You know what would be very impressive, Bo? It would be very impressive as such an esteemed sports bettor if you could buy Novig with your winnings from being a fucking sports bettor. You're a professional sports bettor, apparently. Shouldn't that be your source of revenue? Not your Discord revenue? How could he leave such a layup like that for people like us in the original tweet? I can't believe the lack of self-awareness.
I hate to tell him, but like a lot of Twitter accounts that are super small that have a little space, like, yeah, they're going to take some money from Novig to talk about Novig occasionally. Like, that's just, it's promotion. Like, they're going to do it and the people are going to accept doing it. And I look good for them. Like, you look at like a space like Adam and Earl, they're trying to build something. Throw them a couple dollars. Maybe you get a couple of signups from it. It doesn't cost them anything. Like, to knock all the people that do that is lame. You know, they're just trying to make a little scratch
while having
exactly
having a WAP badge next to your name.
Exactly.
Whoa. Now, dude, I'm expecting more hostility. You've got a Profit X badge. You should agree with Bo and hate all the Novig guys. These are direct.
I haven't seen Bo in a while. He just popped up out of nowhere.
So this is where I was going to get to. So what was his original beef with this? Because this tweet came out. The I could buy Novig app, whatever, came out 5 days before the Novig void situation, right? So like, what do we know? Like, what started why he hated Novig? Because afterwards, 2 days after of this void, he kind of went on a Novig tirade and started hating on them a lot more. So I have. I
asked Henry this because I was confused. I was like, why does he hate your company?
Henry, CEO of Novig.
No, not CEO, head trader of Novig.
Sorry, head trader.
Big buck hunter. And he said, I think because most of the people with the Novig badge will come and attack Bo for being a shitty sports bettor and a losing sports bettor. Yeah. So he associates Novig with people that hate him. So then he attacks Novig. That is actually a pretty sound logic and is probably what's going on here.
So I have like a tinfoil hat theory because listen, I saw this.
You love your conspiracies.
And you think the NBA draft is
here?
rigged too. Here we go.
Listen to me. I want the comments to tell me if I'm right or wrong on this. Put it on the tinfoil hat right now. So this comes out, right? The Novig stuff where they void everything, and a certain space was late to the party on getting the guys of Novig and the trading team to their space, and another competing space ended up getting it and kind of scooped.
Oh man, what a great time for Jason to cut out. Excellent.
Oh, no.
Maybe a blessing in disguise. It was,
powers that be don't want me to speak about this. No, where did I leave off? Okay, I'll pick it up from the beginning. Novig voids these bets. Elf comes in, tries to get Novig onto his show. Adam and Earl scooped the Novig guys, got them on their show, and then all of a sudden, Bo Wagner, who we've barely seen on Twitter talking about anyone else, starts going off on Novig. There's a conspiracy there, no? Am I crazy?
I don't understand. I'm not connecting the dots right now.
Yeah, I don't either.
Because Elf is friends with Elf.
I don't know if he's friends.
Bo, so he's saying that Elf messaged Bo.
Oh, I didn't know Elf got along with Bo.
I don't know anything. I'm just trying to piece the dots. Could be wrong.
Maybe it's time to move on, though.
Tinfoil hat.
C. Blez says, people on the internet like Jeff Benson use me for engagement, then claim I am using them. The social media world is crazy. I mean, it's clearly bait. I don't know what you want me to say. It's clearly bait here. What do you think, Flop?
Seabliss is great for some of these tweets. I thought he was hilarious. I mean, he had another good one that was comment below what engagement bait is. That just had me rolling. This
great,
is just
actually.
like clearly Seabliss knows what he's doing. I think his dumb guy act or his nice guy act, whatever you want to call it on Twitter, the innocent guy act on Twitter is all an act. I think he's very smart and knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how to market, and he's trying to reach a large audience to sell his picks and shill his picks. So I think this is just another scummy-ish tactic from Seabliss, although it is funny and made me laugh.
Next one comes from Bambino_bets. George Kent says, play of the year, parlay Celtics series spread plus 2.5, Cavaliers series spread plus 3.5, Thunder to win the series. Odds on this are still far too low. Thunder must win their series versus the thin and fatigued Nuggets. That series now at 5 games, but OKC are in front. The Cavaliers have lost their series, but he says spread numbers here mean Celtics need to just win 2 games and Cavs only need 1. Wouldn't be surprised if they both came back and won outright. Good luck, folks. Please let me know if you're tailing along. So Cavs did get 1. Celtics did get 2. And the Thunder up 3-2, as I said. Play of the year. What do we think, guys?
I will comment on this. This account, it's a shame how far this account has fallen in terms of just tweeting and quality. I don't know if you guys know this account. They've been around a while. I remember when I was starting to come into the Barstool universe, there was kind of a viral situation that happened with this account, and it was when it was anonymous, and then the guy kind of like disappeared, and there was a rumor that he had passed away, and supposedly like a grandkid of his like took over the account. It just became a shit show. This account has lost considerable, I think, clout in the gambling world.
I mean, like also the fact I had no idea the lore behind it. It's just crazy that he's saying the odds are this is still far too low. I feel like, what odds? What are we talking about?
That was what I was going to bring up next. Odds of this are still far too low. How low?
If I bet
share price
-1,000, is this good? Like
minus 110-ish, maybe.
This is
a real story here.
This is a pet peeve of mine. Like, you don't like sides, you like prices. If this was plus 500, it might have been an excellent bet. And if it was minus 500, it might have been a terrible bet. But we'll never know because we don't know what the price was.
The one thing for certain is if the Thunders win their series, he will victory lap this. There will be a victory lap on Twitter.
Of course.
And we'll be seeing it.
Absolutely. Next up, we did have a victory lap from a user here called Kelly _picks. Kelly picks 23 wins in a row, baby. Am the greatest capper of all time. Goat emoji. Am giving out $100 to 5 people and shows off a bet slip here. 2-leg parlay, 2 players to hit a home run in an MLB on a parlay. $100 to win $3,472. The problem is this is not his bet slip. It is Blitzer Sports at Blitzer AI. Says, hey, bro, can I have my ticket back? Thanks. I find it even better that Kelly picks watermarked the bet slip that was not their own. But I guess
with
that's
a paint thing from
yeah,
that's funny.
I guess that's why people watermark their bet slips because things like this can happen. What does it do to your credibility to post a fake bet slip like this? I'm like, probably nothing, right? Like nobody will really care, will they?
No one's gonna see this because the people who are buying these picks aren't watching this show. Also, like, what are the chances that Kelly picks is just like the third, 10th, 20th, 50th iteration of the same dude trying to just grind out these pick accounts, stealing people's bet slips, tweeting it, getting dub club signups. Then he gets banned because he's not a real person, and then he just does the same process over and over again in a foreign country. Probably doesn't even bet the stuff. Like the grammar stuff is crazy.
Yeah, this account is a huge tout, or not huge tout, but all they post is, nonsense.
Kelly picks the Kelly picks.
Kelly picks, yeah.
I've never heard of them.
Stealing a ticket though is crazy.
It's just and then
getting caught.
Yeah, getting caught.
Last one from Man of the Vig at Vig, please shared a video of somebody sharing betting tips. One of the betting tips was arbitrage betting, which he continuously referred to as arbitrage betting throughout the entire video, despite the subtitles spelling it correctly. So, okay, guys, get this. This is how it works. Let's say for an NFL game, we've got the Steelers against the Bills. Steelers -7. What we're going to do, we're going to play them at -8.5 instead at plus money. Then, when the Steelers are up by 17 or so, we're going to take the Bills live spread. We're going to play it down a little bit. They're plus 17 at that point. We're going to play it down maybe like plus 14, plus 15 at plus money again. We're getting the Steelers plus money and the Bills plus money. No matter what, we're going to profit. But if we get it in the middle, that's even better because the Steelers are going to win at that point, right? And the Bills cover at that point, right? So we're going to guarantee money at that point. Flip, do you see the flaw in the logic potentially of this?
I mean, it's hard. This is a pretty foolproof plan. I mean, the one flaw I see is if they continue to just get blown out. I mean, like let's say the Super Bowl when the Eagles stopped the Chiefs, you could have tried it, but the Eagles kept winning.
Yeah, but you got plus money on the Eagles ahead of the game, and then you get plus money on the Chiefs during the game.
Right, and that's the obvious error, and that's what he's missing, and that's why it won't work, because what happens when they don't turn it around? And the odds are baked in to the fact that the odds are that they won't turn it around at a very high clip. So most of the time you're just left holding the bag on one side, and if that bet loses, you're screwed. And it's likely to lose more than 50%.
No, if one loses, you're good because they're both plus money. That's what you're forgetting here. You're buying points. Sorry, you're selling points on both sides to get plus money both sides. That's why it's a winner, because there's no way the Steelers could possibly lose that football game, and you're definitely gonna get plus money on both of these sides, 100%. Like the game is just gonna continue in the same fashion the entire time, right?
Well, yeah. What I love about this is that he gives a strategy where there's clearly a massive flaw, which is you need a specific thing to happen during the game, which it might not happen. The games are random. And they give all these like new ideas where the perfect scenario always happens. Here's my idea on how to make money. Just pick all the winners. Just continually pick winners, and you'll never lose. I mean,
you cracked the code.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because the Steelers, if you get them at -7, what if they're losing by 7? What are they losing by 7? Now what do I bet to get my money back on that losing play?
Yeah, I don't know if anyone watched this video. This was like tip number 4. I want to see tip 1 through 3 because this was pure comedy. Watching him give me the guy who doesn't even know how to pronounce the word arbitrage telling me how to arbitrage, which by the way wasn't even arbing at all. Like he was explaining middling, not arbing, so he doesn't even know what he's talking about. Also, I think the funniest thing here is Man of the Vig saying that this is his quant. With the stuff that he told me he's been betting, I actually believe him that this is his quant.
Yeah, it's just stupid. I see this for NBA all the time as well, where it's like you bet a team, you bet out on it pre-game, and then it's a game of runs. When one team goes up by a lot, then you just bet the other side essentially. But like there is a scenario where the Steelers just never take the lead in the game, and you just lose your bet, and you're not going to make up enough money by using this plan, and you're also losing a ton of EV by selling points or buying points. So all stupid, but people will definitely fall for it. So hopefully they're watching this, and if they are watching this and you're still here, hopefully you did enjoy. Thank you so much everybody for tuning in to another Circle Back Friday episode. Reminder, there is no Tuesday show next week. We are off. It is a holiday in Canada. It's a little bit weird. Rob actually giving me and Jason a day off for a Canadian holiday, but we'll take it. We'll take the ones that we can get. So we'll see you here next week for the Friday crew. Thanks so much for tuning in. Smash that like button if you enjoyed. Make sure as well you subscribe to the channel, keep up to date with our content, and we will see you again next time.